Good morning, everybody. This is COOLA from Rawstocks. We have another edition of our pre-market prep. It is Monday, July 21st, and we are getting right into this. So first thing first, Monday, we got to look at the data for the week. So the biggest thing for us this week is probably Thursday. It's kind of a light week in regards to data, but you're looking at unemployment claims and some flash services and flash manufacturing PMI and some new home sales. But really this week, very light on data. So if it's going to be some type of directional deal, it's likely going to be driven by some tweets or just straight price action. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, not a ton going on. Big movers, at least in regards to data. So into Friday, we saw a close near that 6,300 level, right around that 6,300 level on SPX. And now what? Right? We had the little test pull back below our daily 4, actually almost came into our daily 20, ultimately recovered that day and closed over our daily 4, and we're seeing an actual distribution to the upside now, but a little bit of more profit taking on Friday. But where do we head now? Right? So let's do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and Gamma Edge. Without those guys, we would not be able to provide this to you guys every single day. Make sure you guys go support them by using the links in our bio and go get your free trials and discounts now. Okay. Let's pull some data over. All right, so we are looking at SPX here, full complex. We are call dominated here. You can see the supply has risen to 6,500 and the demand is near 6,100 now. So as it stands, it's favored to the upside here, but nothing substantial. But you definitely start seeing some major targets, especially when you start looking at this spread up here it's locking up near that 6,500 level. That seems to be the expansion point that we are targeting to the upside. I see a lot of people on X talking about 6,400. I don't think that's the case. We can start to see that 6,500 is going to be the absolute upside. Now at that point you could definitely look for VIX calls and look to hedge the market, but that seems to be the next expansion point, so be keeping an eye on that. This week we can see today's data, we're looking at call dominated gamma conditions. The ceiling is going to be towards 63.40 and the demand is going to be towards 62.60. Transitional zone at 62.90. I'd like to come into this zone here, 62.95, right in that range, right? So we've got this kind of geared up right here. If we start looking at our day trading chart, we're going to look, and I've got this set up already, as the key level is going to be support, and then we're putting the daily pivot at 62.90. Okay, so when we start looking at this, let me pop up the right one. 62.90 is a breakdown of this little transitional point, and we start getting into our negative GEX here. So that's where I've identified it, and I know some people might be split on this, where we're looking at this, but that's how I would like to look at this. Okay, so that is a transitional area for us. Obviously it's right near this key level for us, which is 6,300. You can see that 6,300 is the bullish transitional area, and is definitely going to be a key support here. As last I checked, we are right over the top of that level. So yeah, we're right above it. We're right on it. So you watch this area to act as some type of pivot for you. You can be a short underneath here, looking to target 62.60, and you can stay long over the top of 62.90. You start breaking below 62.90 though, you got problems, and that absolutely could happen, right? So we start looking at this in a broader scale. This could be some type of ascending wedge, look for some of you guys that trade like that. You can start to develop something like that, but watch 62.90 to be your daily pivot point. But you are long. We are favored bullish in regards to call dominated gamma conditions to the upside. Let's look for confluence and SPY here. You're going to see full complex here. We're still call dominated in the gamma conditions. It's actually kind of weakened in regards to that. As you can see, things like 610 have grown, but 630 is really starting to become a huge wall in regards to gamma conditions here on the full complex. Look at 631 here, and 625 is the demand and supply. It's kind of neutral here, but leans bullish. When we see data like this, it definitely, to me, looks more so like a potential chop day, kind of transition, sway the boat as it gets into those areas. It's kind of what it seems like for me, both on SPY and on SPX. But let's cue this up on SPY. Make sure I am solid on that. Yeah, okay. Let's cue this back up. All right. So SPY, we're at 631. I'm just going to leave it 631. Resistance is up here. And then we're going to see transitional at 628. So we're going to do our daily pivot at 628, and that's fine. That's where we're at. And our demand is at 625. So this needs to rise a little bit. And so this kind of goes a little bit higher than what we were looking for in regards to like the support on SPX. SPX is right underneath here. So keep that in mind when you talk about confluence. We're definitely like double zones and level of confidence of trades. You know, it's close. So you could start looking in this area for sure. Let's do a little peekaboo outside our range here. That's support. And our daily pivot is here. So keep an eye on this area. You know, we've got we're bullish over the top of this daily pivot level, which is 6,300 on the SPX, and then a breakdown below, say 626.86 is kind of where we're looking for the bearish pivot. But taking a look at this, you can see multiple visits down this range. So don't just, if it comes down in here and kind of does a peekaboo, you don't want to be trapped in here. You want to see an actual sell candle and stay below there. So keep that in mind. The real play would be looking for 631 or probably closer towards that 63.40 for us to maybe go short, or you could just try a long right here near that 6,300 level. You want to see a breakout above that and hold it, which we're opening right there. So keep an eye on that, see how that responds to that 6,300 level and that 6,290 level. And if it breaks down from there, then so be it. But it's bull biased today, so you're leaning up and you're looking for a break back towards Friday's open, right? Friday's open, Friday's high, and then potentially the extension into 63.40. And let's move on to Tesla. Tesla, we had it kind of pegged out at 330 resistance. And that's kind of exactly what happened. I don't know why this didn't have the expansion, but right here at that 330 resistance, it tried and tried and tried. Just didn't get over it. Kind of thought that was going to be the case. But yeah, this was the right spot. Nice pivot. We bought into this move right here, sold off into 330 for a 70% gain on a 8-day or 10-day. It would have been an 8-day expiration right there. So that's 70% on 8-day expiration's a solid move. We bought right down here and then swung it for a sale right up here. And the first move towards 330 we sold here. We sold one at 325 too, so to full transparency. But now we're seeing the expansion past this. All right. So let's take a look at it. Where is it going? We've got earnings this week on Tesla, so you need to be very cautious of that. We start looking at, where is it? Expected move 11.27%. I would say this is low in regards to earnings. I would say it's low. So call dominated camera conditions, 300 to 350 on the supply. So as it stands right here, we're at 334 in the open, transitional zone at 322, and so we've got the green light virtually, guys, to 350 is kind of what we're seeing. 347, 350 right there. You can see there's a little bit of a short right here standing on 347. Yeah, 350 is definitely going to be the upside target and potential wall. But I will say, when you look at the full complex here on Tesla, 400 is growing and it is pretty substantial. So that would be my potential upside if we got past our implied move. So 400 would be the upside, and then you start to see a pretty good size short near that 290 and even 250. I'm not so sure we're going to get all the way down there. 290 would be probably the lowest for me based on where we're at right now in the implied move. So 322 and a half, 320. This needs to rise towards this range. Let me double. The demand is all the way down towards 300, but that's not going to be my range based on what I'm seeing. This is going to be the support right here. And then the upside is actually an expansion towards 350 this week. And you're going to catch maybe make this all pretty for you guys. All right. There you are. So we're in ping pong area between 350 and 320 right now. So it's not a great place to buy, but if you're going to look for something like that, then you need to be looking for maybe something like that 330 to hold, and just kind of show you that support before you get on board with a potential move to 350. Okay. So really excited. Don't know what day their earnings is, because I'm virtually going to stay away from Tesla this week because of the pricing, but just keep that in mind as well. If you don't want to pull anything like any swings this week, you don't want to look for that on Tesla. The IV will crush you. It's not worth it. So let's take a look at NVIDIA real quick. NVIDIA is at 175 supply, 172. This usually generally serves as a pivot. I haven't looked at NVIDIA this morning, so forgive me on that. And we'll see, 172 and a half to 175 is the range. This needs to be adjusted big time. 172 and a half, 175. So generally this serves, like I said, as a pivot. When we see something like this, when there are decent shorts right here, this is a pivot. So if we break over 175, we can see an expansion up towards that 180, 185 area. If we don't, then watch for this to be pulled down. I think it's important to note that this is call dominated. This is probably the weakest we've seen the net gex here. So maybe a little bit of an eye opener that the tides are changing. So keep that in mind. Okay. Watch 175 to act as resistance here. But if we lose 172, 170 is definitely somewhere where you need to be watching this to sink to, and potentially all the way back down and close this gap down here. I think is on the books now. So just watch that loss of 172 and a half. That puts it outside this range for maybe some type of expansion down towards 170. But we would create heightened volatility, and we could see just a absolute little dumpster fest down into that 168, potentially a little bit lower on that. So we'll cover NVIDIA a little bit more this week, but I'm going to wrap this up so I can get it out there. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Check us out at rawstocksllc.com. That is rawstocksllc.com. And get access to our pre-market prep and all our analyst calls, everything at rawstocksllc.com. Until next time, we'll catch you later.